Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's a dreary morning in mid-November. It's raining a little bit here. I've come to Haverhill, Massachusetts to a place called Canoza Lake, which you can see behind me. It's a fairly large lake, and there has been a Tundra Swan reported from this location for the past couple of days. So this would be number 250 for the year, so I have a little bit of anticipation here. I've actually seen a swan along the edge of the shore here with its head tucked under, and so I can't really be sure if it's a Tundra Swan or one of the mute swans. There's about 20 mute swans on this lake, so we have to be careful and make sure that we get the one that is a Tundra Swan. So I'm going to get some video of this resting bird and wait it out and see if it can lift its head up, which will let us tell if it's a Tundra Swan. So I filmed this sleepy swan for a while, and then I eventually stopped filming because it wasn't doing anything and I was just filling up my memory card. As I studied this bird, I became more and more convinced that this was the Tundra Swan that had been photographed here over the past few days. However, I really needed to see the head and bill to be 100% sure. Then, after 10 or 15 minutes of waiting, the bird suddenly lifted up its head, showing that it was indeed an immature Tundra Swan. I scrambled to get my camera focused back on it, and then, just like that, my 250 bird challenge was completed. After that brief but very satisfying display, the bird settled back in to continue its nap. So this is a good time to show the range map for Tundra Swan. As you can see, they inhabit the northern part of North America, and their regular range does not include the New England states. After a few minutes, the swan started stirring again and began to preen. Tundra swans have a pinkish-orange bill when they're juveniles, which then becomes black when they're adults. This is the opposite of mute swans, which have dark grayish bills when they're juveniles that turns into bright orange as adults. The bird finally ventured out into the water, giving a good look at another field mark that separates it from mute swan, which is a shorter and straighter neck that doesn't have the graceful curved appearance that mute swan necks have. A little shout out to the autofocus on my Canon R7, which did a good job of staying locked on the bird despite the many branches crossing the field of view. Of course, a swimming swan isn't exactly the toughest challenge for an autofocus system. Tundra Swan is not a lifer, but it is a new Massachusetts state bird for me. According to eBird, it's also the 299th bird that I photographed in Massachusetts, so I have another milestone to look forward to there. Okay, there you have it, bird number 250, and my 2025 challenge is now complete. Feels pretty good. I'd like to thank everybody who supported the channel throughout the year for watching my videos and leaving nice comments and that sort of thing. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this challenge, and it's not going to stop. I'm going to keep looking for more birds throughout the rest of the year and see how high we can take it. Feel like there's definitely the potential to add at least 5 more birds, maybe more by the end of 2025. So we'll keep going, and I'll keep making videos. But once again, thanks a lot for your support throughout the year. This is kind of a nice moment. It feels good, and I'll keep birding. After that exhausting 50-yard swim, the swan went back to sleep. As the morning progressed, many birders showed up to see it, and I heard that some people had to wait for more than an hour to see it lift up its head. There is some concern that the bird may be sick due to how sluggish it is. I hope that's not the case. After seeing the Tundra Swan, I headed for Salisbury Beach State Park, a coastal location that's an excellent spot to find winter finches due to the many pine trees. That wasn't the case today, unfortunately, as the only finches I observed were a few flyover house finches. I did have a few nice sightings, however. This group of male white-winged scoters was hanging out fairly close to shore. I always enjoy seeing the adult males with their jet black plumage with a few white accents. Even better, I came across a group of about 15 snow buntings hanging out on this small breakwater. They let me approach fairly close and get some nice footage. By the way, snow buntings are not generally lumped in with the winter finches because they're reliable and common winter migrants that are not really eruptive. One of these snow buntings even hopped up onto the tip of this rock, giving me an even better look with the water as the background. Okay, so in this video, I'd also like to show some other birds that I've seen during the past 2 weeks. Most of them from my home patch, the Horn Pond Recreation Area, which is where I am right now. That's the main pond behind me there. So the first one of these birds is a pied-billed grebe that was coming in close to shore. It's been a good fall for pied-billed grebes at Horn Pond. There's been at least one, and often two, present for the past couple of months. The stripes on the side of the head of this bird indicate that it's an immature. Horn Pond is one of the best places around to find barred owls. In the wintertime, when the leaves are off the deciduous trees, the pine trees are the best place to look for them. This is one of the known spots, and whenever it appears in this particular pine tree, you generally get a good look. This Carolina wren landed right next to me, and I had to zoom out just to fit it into the frame. This is one of those birds that we take for granted because they're so common, but their loud and cheerful vocalizations make any birding trip a little more enjoyable. In a recent video, I mentioned that I was really struggling this year to get good looks at Cooper's hawks, despite getting many distant or brief looks. So finally, I did spot this immature at Horn Pond perched in a tree and was able to get this nice video here. So Cooper's hawk is already on the list based on some decent flight shots that I got, but it was definitely nice to get a good long look at a perched bird. Another nice recent sighting from my home patch is purple finch. It's been a good fall for them, and I've seen flocks of as many as 9 birds, which is pretty unusual. Purple finches are, of course, notoriously similar to the more common house finch. On this male, you can see that there's essentially no brown streaking at all on the underside of the bird, and that's a good field mark for a purple finch. And finally, one more good bird that is not from my home patch, and that is an eastern screech owl. This bird has just been hanging out in my suburban neighborhood right over a sidewalk, so a really easy bird to see and enjoy. When I added screech owl to the year list early in the year, it was a gray-phased bird. This one is obviously a red-phased bird, so it's nice to have seen and photographed one of each. Hi everyone. I'm at a place called Cumberland Farms IBA, which I think stands for Important Bird Area, and that's located in Halifax, Massachusetts, which is just west of Plymouth, so about an hour drive for me. I'm here looking for a Say's phoebe, which has been hanging out here for a couple of weeks and is being seen intermittently. I really should have come and looked for this bird earlier. I kept having conflicts when I couldn't see it, and then I had a day where I could have gone to see it, but it hadn't been reported for a few days, so I thought maybe it was gone. There was a report yesterday, and when I got here, a few birders had said maybe they saw it. So this bird is sort of hovering in that maybe it's here, maybe it's not here, but it's not easy to see. So the place to look for it is this big array of solar panels, which is all fenced off and has no trespassing signs, so you can only look in from the outside, and once in a while apparently it pops up onto the solar panels. I've been here for about an hour and a half and have had no sightings of it. But this is a nice area. There's a lot of bluebirds that are apparently nesting around the solar panels and are flying around. So I've gotten some of my best footage ever of bluebird, which is kind of nice because I've been annoyed at not being able to get nice footage of bluebirds. So I'll put some of that up. Always great to see nice bluebirds. They're just so beautiful. I am going to hang out here a little bit longer and just give it another shot for the Say's phoebe and see if it pops up. But it's a large area, and so you really, I think, kind of have to get lucky that it pops up when you're there. But I'll give it a shot since I've come down here. Bluebirds are fairly shy birds, so at first they were keeping their distance from me. As I hung around hoping for the Say's phoebe to make an appearance, I noticed that the bluebirds were starting to get used to my presence and were coming a bit closer. Then, after I'd been standing in the same place for a half hour or so, one bluebird landed much closer, allowing me to get this nice footage. A bit of consolation for missing the phoebe. Okay, well, I'm back at my car now. I looked for the Say's phoebe for a little bit longer without any luck, so it was a nice morning out. A little disappointed not to get that bird, but overall, I'm still feeling very happy for getting my 250th bird yesterday, so don't want to end on a low note. Things are going well, and we'll see what else we can find by the end of the year. That's a wrap for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.